welcome to another great podcast session. I'm Shivani Muthyala. Nowadays, the technologies such as artificial intelligence, machine learning, big data analytics, and cloud are rapidly taking over the market day by day. Similarly, on the other side, Web 3.0 has been transforming across ecosystems. Well, all these set aside, we now have a totally new era of metaverse that is yet to burgeon. To talk to us about these technologies, we have Prashant Sharma, who is a co-founder of Plutoverse, which is the latest entrant into the Indian Metaverse sector. So why late? Let's welcome our speaker for the day. Hi Prashant, how are you doing?
Doing great. Thank you so much, Shivani. I'm glad to be here. Would love to discuss more with you on this.
Pleasure to have you here today on Analytics Insight platform. So, first of all, before we dive deep into the topic, could you tell our listeners what Plutoverse is all about?
Sure. So I would say before I even get into what Plutoverse is, I would sort of like to give more pre-context on what's happening in the world, right? The last 2 to 3 years have been very transformative in the way how people are choosing to spend their time online. And we believe that in the future, your digital value would be much more important than your physical value. And what I mean is that because of this, every human being, every pet, every brand, and every physical good in space will be represented by their digital avatar. And with the way these things are evolving in online behavior and culture shifts, we will be dwelling more into digitization of our personalities. I mean, in the last 2 years, on the amount of people that are spending time playing games like Fortnite, Minecraft, Sandbox, Blankos, they've like grown by folds, right? I mean, this is an indication towards people wanting to live in more immersive worlds, connect with people from other regions, and have these amazing experiences virtually. So essentially, at Plutoverse, we are building an avatar-centric virtual world where users can come and live and socialize virtually. We are building a metaverse from India for the world where users will be able to come on the platform with their virtual avatar. They will be able to interact with other users, play virtual games, earn real money, and create their own worlds as well.
That's amazing. And how did the idea of setting up a company like this, come into your mind?
So honestly, growing up, I was always extremely fascinated with the animated shows, fictional characters, and these worlds. And these fictional worlds and characters sort of always inspired me to grow outside of my comfort zone, right? So to enable me to dream about bigger possibilities. And as I grew up, I realized India has rarely produced good fictional characters or worlds. And all these thought processes, I would say 6 months ago, led me to starting Plutoverse, which was when it started, it was a very nascent thought in terms of like what we wanted to build. As we grew with time in the last 6 months, our idea is really simple. Most people, they spend their whole life feeling like they don't belong, and they're not wrong. I mean, one cannot possibly live and exist sustainably in systems that have been built for them by other people. So we let them create their own world with a unique digital identity that is theirs and theirs alone. And this digital identity has no real life limitation, an identity that is unique to you and your expression. So we are trying to create something that could inspire more kids and adults of tomorrow to do bigger and better things.
Wonderful. And what are the company's specializations and services, that it is actually offering to its clients, and what is your favorite among them?
So essentially, I would say we are still at a very nascent stage of development, but our entire product is developed around these four core aspects, which is socializing, building, playing, and earning. We would essentially enable users to have immersive experiences in our virtual worlds while playing, creating, and making friends. And very importantly, earning money through their investments in the game. My favorite part, I would say, is so there is this one feature in our product where you as a user, you can connect your Spotify API to our product. And I'm sorry if this is like too technical, but I'm just sort of used to speaking that way. But essentially, you can connect your Spotify to the product, and when you wear your headphones in our game, you will be transported to this sea of clouds where you're just flying and you're able to hear music very peacefully. So essentially, for me, this is a very reminiscent of how long drives are, but in India, these long drives are not peaceful at all. I mean, if you have to go anywhere, it's very crowded, it's very noisy. You cannot be at peace. A small feature in our this product in our game, essentially, where users can do this. They can fly, keep flying in the sky, and they can just listen to whatever music they want peacefully.
That sounded quite interesting. And, as technology has been vital these days, so companies are leveraging the new tech trends, whether it be like AI or ML or cloud or big data for adding great value to their clients, right? So, how is Plutoverse using these particular tech trends, to deliver great products?
I mean, I would say they are, of course, an integral part of our development in the long run, but NFTs and cryptos are something that are very, very important to how our users will interact on our platform. And along with that, new and innovative investment and revenue models like staking or giving more and more control to the users and artists through our DAOs, which would eventually like lead them to our users having more control on the platform, is something that we are very actively looking into. Tech wise, I think Web3, the entire purpose of Web3 it's been built so that there is less control with centralized organizations, and more people get to use these decentralized products where they get to choose what they want and they get to experience things that they want.
Wonderful. And the next big sphere is the Web 4.4, right? So, like where most things are done virtually. So, in such a case, what would the future of virtual influencers or the storytellers look like?
So there are two ends to this. I think it's not just purely the future of virtual influencers on Web3, but I think even on the Web2 space, the concept of virtual influencers has not been tapped to its full potential yet. So I think we are going to see simultaneous developments on both ends. When it comes to Web2, there have been great influencers, I would say virtual influencers built in the US, be a Janky, be a Michaela, be a Bermuda, all of these virtual influencers have built these great storylines. A general thesis being that if a Mickey Mouse were to be born today, he would not be born as a comic book or as a movie or as a show. He would take birth as a Instagram character, because that is how our society is forming. That is how we are introduced to new things these days. So I would say the content consumption patterns have evolved rapidly, wherein these original characters were earlier built for the most relevant medium. And right now, the most relevant medium is the internet. So even though we have not seen any prominent virtual influencer come up in India, globally, it has been a trend. And I think it's going to catch up soon in India as well, where these some of the great studios are going to build something like a virtual influencer.
Yeah, hopefully that actually happens in India too, because there are a lot of fan based following for these characters
Correct.
as well. So in the same context, so what do you think the future of metaverse would look like?
I think that's a very broad question, but so there are two things, right? When people talk about metaverse, they think that it is a virtual place where people would go to and would sort of live in these virtual realities, right? Which is correct to some extent, but ideally, what's going to happen is you, as a user, are going to sort of will have access to these devices, which would either take you to a universe, or it will bring the universe to you. Meaning, I mean, a VR or an AR, where right now, when let's say people buy NFTs, buying NFTs is the first part. Right now, there are not a lot of utilities that is attached to an NFT. It's more about the hype that's been built. It's not even that far. I mean, even in the next 5 to 6 months, the use cases of an NFT would increase, wherein if I have purchased a digital outfit, I can actually wear that digital outfit and upload that on Instagram. Or if you have an AR glasses and I'm wearing that digital outfit, you can see those digital outfits through your AR glasses. The art that I'm buying right now as NFTs can later be put up in my house as an AR collectible, right? So I think that is one thing absolutely that's gonna like take over, wherein people are currently looking at NFTs as a way to sort of generate hype. But I think the utility and use cases of NFTs are going to be huge. Secondly, I'm not sure how much this relates to the metaverse, but I think one of the most emerging trend is going to come with digital outfit, digital goods. In the last 3 to 4 years, like there has been a huge outcry about fast fashion, right? Wherein uh, people usually buy clothes just to post stuff on Instagram just to sort of, they wear it once and then they trash it. And there is a lot of social responsibilities that come with not buying fast fashion, right? Wherein there are these, there are these concerns over child labor, there are these concerns around wastage. And I think all of that can be taken care by by people using more digital goods for their one-time wear instead of like actual fashion. So I think replacement of fast fashion is also going to be one of the key elements going ahead for the metaverse.
Absolutely, very rightly said. And there are a lot of technologies that are now becoming mainstream. So, like, what tech trends would you feel that can actually take over the market in 2022?
So, honestly, from a tech trend perspective, DAOs and staking is something that's been built right now by a lot of communities. But I think from a metaverse perspective, we are still very nascent in terms of where these tech trends could lead us. But building an avatar, being able to sort of create your own digital identity is definitely going to be on top of it, wherein you as a user, let's say you enter this X world of an X fictional world, you'll be able to enter that world as a virtual avatar. And you will be not limited to that, like only that virtual world. Like you will be able to use your avatar in other worlds where you will, let's say if you're part of Meta, or let's say you're part of a Decentraland, you can take your character from Decentraland and take it to a blank course and take it to some other platforms where, of course, these platforms need to support each other. But eventually, the users are going to have more power in terms of how they use their identities and where they use their identities.
Thanks for elaborating on that front. And lastly, like, where do you want to see the company in the next 5 years, maybe?
Honestly, I think in the next 5 years, we would want to be one of the flag bearers of Metaverse from India. Currently, we've been in the works for the last 3 to 4 months where we've built our original technology for building this product. We are working on smart contracts. We are working on how to get our DAOs functioning, how to get our tokenomics right. And the next 6 months are very crucial for us, where our product is actually going to be out in the market and people are going to be able to use it. But in the next 5 years, I would say this is the place where I would want most of the coolest concerts in the world to happen. This is where I would want most of the users to come to and interact with other people. And this is where I would want to help a lot of, I would say, the 14, 16, 20-year-old versions of me would want to help them and like help them dream big, come in this world and just look at the possibilities and possibly inspire them to do greater things.
Wishing you and the company all the very best, and optimistically looking forward to see even more innovative solutions coming up from the company's end. Thank you so much, Prashant. It was a pleasure talking to you. Hope our listeners have gained lot valuable insights from this session.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me.
So listeners, stay tuned for more such interesting podcasts. Thank you. See you all again very soon.